When everyone else is scrambling to buy gifts, attending loud parties, and posting pictures of matching pajamas around a heavily decorated tree, you are quietly preparing for a very different reality. You are spending Christmas completely alone. When people find out about this, society is incredibly quick to judge you. They look at you with visible pity. They tilt their heads and offer you a seat at their table out of sheer charity. They assume that because you are alone on a holiday, you must be profoundly depressed, inherently unlovable, or that you have somehow failed at the basic game of human connection. That is a massive biological and cultural illusion. The act of spending the holidays in an empty room is rarely a simple tragedy. For many highly perceptive individuals, it is a highly evolved, conscious choice for psychological authenticity. What you are experiencing is not a lack of options, but a strict refusal to engage in forced, exhausting environments. In the next few minutes, we are going to explore the brutal clinical reality behind why people spend Christmas alone. We will dissect the exact neurological tension between societal expectations and your quiet reality. We will expose why your brain treats inauthentic holiday gatherings as a literal metabolic drain. And most importantly, we will reveal why rejecting a toxic table to sit alone in the silence is the ultimate act of self-mastery. Pause and write this down. Now, you are not rejecting human connection. You are ruthlessly rejecting inauthentic connection. Let us look at the anatomy of holiday isolation. The greatest misconception about spending Christmas alone is the assumption that it is a singular, flat emotion of sadness. The reality is that it is a profoundly complex psychological paradox. When you choose to step away from the cultural machine of the holidays, you experience a jarring cocktail of conflicting neurochemicals. You feel an immense, heavy relief mixed with a subtle, haunting loneliness. You feel absolute freedom over your time, yet you carry a lingering sense that something invisible is missing. You feel a deep, grounding peace, but it is constantly interrupted by the acute awareness that you are existing completely outside of the social norm. This emotional ambiguity is not a sign that you made the wrong choice. It is the natural biological friction of a human being navigating a day that society has aggressively defined one way, while your personal reality looks completely different. Your brain is a prediction machine. For your entire life, the culture has programmed your neural pathways to associate late December with specific images, specific sounds, and forced family proximity. When your current environment does not match that deeply ingrained programming, your nervous system experiences cognitive dissonance. You are not necessarily grieving the loss of people. You are processing the gap between the cultural script and your authentic truth. Society sold you a script. You looked at the actors, realized the play was a tragedy, and calmly walked off the stage. To understand this conscious withdrawal, we have to look directly at the neurobiology of forced socialization. For many people, Christmas is not a Hallmark movie. It is a psychological battlefield. It means returning to the exact toxic family dynamics, the passive-aggressive comments, and the unresolved generational trauma that you have spent the entire year trying to heal from. When you walk into a room where you are misunderstood, judged, or forced to perform a version of yourself that no longer exists, your amygdala instantly perceives a threat. It does not matter that there is a turkey on the table and holiday music playing in the background. Your primitive brain recognizes that you are in an unsafe emotional environment. To survive these gatherings, you have to engage in a process called psychological masking. Masking requires an astronomical amount of energy from your prefrontal cortex. You have to actively suppress your authentic thoughts, regulate your facial expressions, and swallow your boundaries just to keep the peace and maintain the illusion of a perfect family. A 2024 study on social exhaustion revealed that prolonged emotional masking causes the exact same spike in cortisol levels as chronic physical stress. Your brain literally calculates the metabolic cost of pretending to be happy. It realizes that if you sit at that table, you will be utterly depleted for weeks. So, you make a clinical executive decision. You choose the quiet room, you choose the silence. You realize that being alone feels significantly more honest than pretending to be happy in a room full of strangers who share your DNA. This brings us to the hardest part of the entire experience, which is rarely the 25th of December itself. The hardest part is the invisible psychological warfare of the month leading up to it. The entire month of December is a relentless, inescapable cultural trigger. Every commercial on television, every post on social media, and every casual conversation with a coworker is a stark reminder that you are not participating in the expected human experience. People constantly ask you what your plans are. They ask you who you are seeing. When you tell them you are staying home alone, their micro-expressions shift. They offer unsolicited sympathy, which forces you into the exhausting position of having to comfort them about your own choices. Your brain is bombarded with artificial dopamine cues that you cannot organically fulfill. This constant environmental pressure breeds a toxic layer of self-doubt. You sit in your room and you ask yourself if you are doing life wrong. You fall into the trap of social comparison. You look at the curated, highly filtered images of families smiling online, and you momentarily forget that those images are often a desperate performance. Do not compare your quiet, peaceful reality to a loud, chaotic lie. The anxiety you feel in the weeks before the holiday is not a desire to join the chaos. It is the heavy burden of having to constantly defend your peace against a world that demands your participation. Rewind this if needed. Your isolation is not a symptom of failure, it is a boundary drawn in concrete. We must establish the absolute difference between being alone and being discarded. The people who spend Christmas alone are usually navigating profound life transitions. Your isolation is a reflection of your current circumstances, not a reflection of your permanent value. You might be alone because of geographical distance, having moved across the country to pursue a dream that no one else understood. You might be alone because you are sitting in the heavy, sacred space of grief, mourning a loss that makes celebration feel like a betrayal. Or, most commonly, you are alone because you finally found the courage to cut off the toxic relationships that were quietly destroying your nervous system. You initiated a massive structural redesign of your life, and right now, the construction site is empty. That emptiness is not a failure. It is the necessary clearing of the ground before the new foundation can be poured. You do not lack the capacity for relationships. You lack the specific, artificial structure that Christmas demands. You are in a holding pattern of extreme authenticity. You refuse to fill the void with cheap substitutes just to avoid feeling lonely for 24 hours. You are not missing out on the holidays. You are actively protecting your baseline of peace from a holiday that historically extracted your soul. The aftermath of surviving this day alone is a profound revelation. When you wake up on the 26th of December, the cultural spell breaks. The world goes back to normal. The decorations come down, and the societal pressure instantly evaporates. You look around your quiet environment and you realize something incredibly powerful. You survived. You did not break. You did not compromise your boundaries. You did not sacrifice your mental health just to provide background noise for someone else's holiday photo. You sat in the ambiguity, you processed the complex emotions, and you held your own hand through the silence. This builds an unbreakable psychological resilience. You learn that your own company is a safe place to land. You realize that you no longer need the validation of a crowded room to know that you exist and that you matter. You have successfully decoupled your internal worth from an external calendar date. A quiet room with a clear conscience is infinitely more valuable than a crowded table with a compromised soul. If you are the person who spends Christmas alone, you must stop pathologizing your own independence. You must stop letting a commercially engineered holiday dictate your self-worth. You live in a loud, performative world that demands constant social proof of your happiness. You operate on a different frequency. Your nervous system prioritizes authenticity over appearance. The next time the holiday season approaches and the societal pressure begins to mount, do not let the cultural script convince you that your silence is a tragedy. Honor the boundary. Pour yourself a coffee, sit by the window, and watch the chaos from a safe distance. Being alone is not a punishment for being difficult. It is the reward for being genuine. If this clinical breakdown resonated with the silent reality of your life, subscribe to the channel. You are not broken. You are not a failure. You executed a perfect strategy of self-preservation. Honor the survival. Build the future. See you in the next protocol.